Chama a nossa próxima convidada, que é considerada a principal influenciadora e formadora de opinião do setor joalheiro no mundo. Radicada na Inglaterra, a russa Liza Urla compartilhará conosco sua visão sobre o atual mercado de joias e o interesse do público por esse universo. Ela nos dará importantes contribuições de como inspirar os clientes das joalherias a encontrarem o seu próprio estilo de joias. Liza Urla é a fundadora do premiado blog gemolog.com, lançou seu primeiro livro, Gemolog, Street Jewelry Styles and Styling Tips, na Sotheby's, em Londres, e está no Brasil exclusivamente a convite do IBGM para a FENINJER. So, welcome, Liza.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm very happy. I actually landed this morning from London, so it's not my first time in São Paulo, but it's very exciting to be here, even talking to you after an overnight flight, which is 11 hours. So you can feel my pain. So I would like to know, who do we have in the... who do we have here? Do we have any jewelry designers? Jewelry designers? Okay. Any retailers? Oh, wow. Many retailers. Jewelry lovers? That's it? I hope all of you are jewelry lovers. So let's start my presentation. We're going to cover 3 topics today during my very short presentation. And it's going to be about jewelry market overview, as well as why should jewelry matter, and my favorite topic inspired by my recent jewelry book, Jewelry Styling Tips for Jewelry Lovers and Jewelry Designers. So, in case you can't see it, the jewelry market, why should jewelry matter, jewelry styling tips, and then we're going to have an exciting Q&A with questions I haven't seen yet. So I hope the questions are not going to be too complicated. So I don't know how many of you have seen my work and maybe been following me over the years. I would love to know if you actually know me or not. Could you raise your hands if you've ever come across my work? Okay, so many of you have seen it. Thank you so much for following. Appreciate all your love, likes, and comments. Thank you so much. So for others who don't know what I do or where I come from, I started off in jewelry since 2009. Since a JA degree, I'm a gemologist, graduate gemologist. So I started in New York City, and back then, jewelry was an interesting area because you couldn't really find any information online. So I always wanted to share with my friends my jewelry discoveries. So it was a very personal journey from the beginning. And over the years, well, 10 years later, time flies, I have collaborated with over 500 designers in the US, Europe, Brazil, Asia. So I've traveled the world. I can't have enough. And also, of course, I worked and collaborated with brands like Chanel High Jewelry, Van Cleef. Been very fortunate. As you might know, I'm known as one of the most influential jewelry tastemaker. So it's a very big title. Very proud of it. And also fortunate that my jewelry expertise has been acknowledged by Financial Times, New York Times, Harper's Bazaar, and among other publications. So many of you, some of you might follow me, some others don't know what I do. People always ask me, what do you actually do? Because jewelry is such an interesting, opaque industry. And as the jewelry tastemaker, I do different things. So one of them would be a jewelry editor. So I've been traveling around the world by the invitation of different jewelry trade shows. So let's say Couture and IGL, Couture and Jessie K in Vegas, IGL in the UK. What else? Ina Gerta in Munich, Vicenza Oro in Italy, La Pada in London, who is next in Paris. So I've been fortunate to work as a jewelry editor and cover those trade shows and various jewelry designers. I also work as a jewelry creator. So I highlight jewels from current collection in stores and online, and as well as I curate jewelry auctions. I don't know if you have jewelry auction houses here in Brazil. I've recently created jewelry auctions for Sotheby's in London for online-only jewelry auction. And also, I work as a jury member, so I'm very fortunate to look at the brightest jewelry stars and vote for them and support them, for them to win grants and have opportunities to succeed in this very difficult jewelry business. And also face of the brand and ambassador. So at the moment, I'm the face of Silvia Furmanovic's latest jewelry collection called Botanica. So we shot and I art directed the shoot earlier this year. And a few more things I do. So I work as a speaker, so I'm very happy here today to share with you everything I need to know about jewelry. And I work as an industry consultant, being 10 years in the industry. I happen to acquire a lot of different knowledge within the industry as well as around social media and marketing. I art direct shoots, so you might be familiar. I don't know if you can see on the bottom, it says Gem Creatives. So Gem Creatives is a creative agency for jewelry brands. It's basically, it's all about creating unique jewelry campaigns for brands. And you might know that I have a very elegant or sometimes crazy approach to jewelry styling. So I've been directing shoots and actually not actually working with a model and working with a team of professionals. It's so much fun, I love it. And sometimes I host events because they're fun, and if I can have fun doing that, why not, right? So, it's about Gemalog. So, maybe I'm taking too long, but I really wanted to answer this question because people ask a lot, what do you do? So I just wanted to have clarity in what I do. So about Gemalog, so I launched Gemalog in 2009 during my JA degree in New York. As I mentioned earlier, I really wanted to share my story, my jewelry journey with my friends. And so basically, when I launched Gemalog, it introduced the jewelry world to the digital world, as jewelry was not a part of online world before. And since then, since the beginning of Gemalog, I've been very fortunate to write for different publications, to style jewelry editorials, and get featured in many prestigious press around the world. So you might ask why I do what I do. The mission always been, and it's very simple, it's about educating Gemalog followers about jewelry, of course. What's most important is to educate in a context, whether it's traveling, fashion, or lifestyle. And you might know that jewelry has always been a conservative topic. And I always show the jewelry in a real-life setting. I don't believe in product shots. I love to try all jewelry on. I feature on Gemalog. So if I find a piece of earrings uncomfortable or too heavy, I'm not going to share it with you. So basically, it's always been authentic first-hand experience rather than publishing third-party material. And also, since the beginning, I have a love for photography, and I've been fortunate to work with very talented jewelry photographers, such as Julia Fleet, who we have collaborated on the book, which I'll tell you about later. And unique styling and playful element really helps to inspire jewelry lovers and tell the story of the jewelry. Okay, so let's go to something a little bit more interesting. Enough about me. So this one is on my mission. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm not done yet. So a quick one. So on Gemalog, you'll find different type of articles, and this is the button. So you find Jewels Off. So it features latest discoveries from the world's most exciting jewelry designers and their spectacular creations and, of course, craftsmanship, which is I will be dedicating much more time this year. Then Gem Talks. So I love successful women, and I love to tap into their jewelry boxes, and I love to ask why they have these pieces and what the attitude towards fine jewelry, vintage jewelry. And I think the best times I've ever had is to tap into personal jewelry boxes. It's much better than any auction house or jewelry store because it's personal. Every piece of jewelry means and has a story. And I'm absolutely addicted to hear those stories and get to know the people behind those stories. And of course, jewelry reviews. Jewelry reviews are unique for jewelry world, where I feature detailed write-ups about the jewelry and for people to discover the main pieces in the collection. And the last piece of information about Gemolog, before we go to a little bit more interesting topics, is about the jewelry book. I have published a jewelry book earlier this year. I'm very excited about it. It's actually a jewelry publishing house approached me in the UK called ACC, one of the biggest jewelry publishing house in the UK. And we decided to work on something together, which is how I actually started. I mentioned earlier that I started Gemolog in 2009 during my gemology degree. What I didn't mention, then when I launched, I couldn't photograph anything. Jewelry brands were against internet. Internet was a dirty word, and I couldn't share any content. I couldn't photograph anything. Nowadays, many people still struggle to photograph. Luckily, I don't have this problem anymore. So what I've done, I used to travel a lot, very lucky, and I photograph what people wear. I would photograph street style, so jewelry street style. We all have heard of fashion street style, and there are books, and it's very popular at the moment. But jewelry street style is new, and that's exactly how I started. So when I thought about it, I thought it's so relevant right now with all the fashion street style going on. Let's tap into my archive of 10 years and find the best street style photography I have and merge it together with my jewelry styling tips, because they're the most important element of how we wear jewelry, how we style jewelry, and what it means to us. So I launched the book. So basically, it features inspirational, eye-catchy photographs, and it encompasses costume and tribals jewelry as well as fine. So you might know about Gemolog. I don't do only fine jewelry. I show everything from $5 or even $1 to $50 million. So it's a spread, and I absolutely love fine jewelry, vintage jewelry, and costume jewelry. So the book has it all, and it's in street style format. And of course, the purpose is to inspire fashion and jewelry lovers to find their own style by going through the pages in a captivating street style format, which is unique and doesn't exist for jewelry. It does exist only for fashion, and the jewelry world, all of us deserve to have something like that. So that's it, and then obviously, so who doesn't know who I am yet, I would appreciate to get a comment or like. Please send me a message. Also, if you'd like me to send this presentation, drop me a message or email info@gemolog, and we will send you English, and if you like, a Portuguese version of the presentation. So you'll find me on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram under Gemolog, which stands for, I forgot to mention, stands for Dialogue About Gems. That's why it's called Gemolog. So let's start talking about the jewelry market overview. So that's why I'm here, right? To talk about the jewelry market and everything I have seen traveling around the world and attending all the jewelry shows. So the global jewelry market has witnessed continuous growth in the past few years, and thank God, projected to grow in 2019. But the market is expected to be driven by various growth factors. I give you a second. I'm not going to ask you, because if it would be a small audience, I would have asked you, what are them? What do you think? Because I think it's important to engage and have a conversation, because that's what I do, right? It's all about engagement. It's all about people. So take a second and think which growth factors contribute to the jewelry market growth. That's your chance to take the second, think about it for yourself. Before I tell you a few answers, these are the main growth factors I have identified. And the first one is definitely my favorite, is growing female workforce population and self-purchase. So nowadays, self-purchase is a big element of jewelry market growth, because girls nowadays don't expect a gift from their husband or from their father. They feel they can choose the style they want of jewelry and buy into it. And I think it's wonderful, whether it's contemporary jewelry or fine jewelry or costume jewelry. And that thanks to the growth of female workforce around the world. Another one is increasing high net worth individuals. The world is getting richer, so more people appreciate and understand the importance of jewelry and why it matters. And they're searching for the best stones and the best craftsmanship the world has to offer. Increasing middle class population, so more people feel that they can afford jewelry, they can reward themselves for their achievements or special moments. And obviously growth of international tourism. A lot of jewelry are bought during traveling. When we travel, we're looking for create a moment, create a special memory, and jewelry is tend to be the best way to capture that moment, capture the trip, capture that emotion. So you can, are any of you wearing some jewelry from your trips? Some of you. And I think those pieces are the most important one, because it celebrates traveling and family time, and I think it's so important, beautiful. So what else? So bridal engagement market is still strong. A lot of people still get married, maybe late in life, but they're still getting married, and they invest in sometimes, for many men, the first purchase, engagement ring. But also there's bridal jewelry, so that's why the market is still growing. And also there's increasing number of social media and smartphone users. All of you on your phones, all of you on social media. So and many more people in different age groups joining the social media and obviously on a smartphone. And that means that they have access to follow people like me, or follow their favorite brands, or follow their friends and see how they live their lives, what they wear. And obviously increasing number of digital buyers. I'm not sure how big is the market for online purchases here in Brazil, because it's very tricky. I heard that the tax is tricky. But in the US and in Europe and in Asia, online purchases for jewelry is massive and it's growing. So what are the challenges? There are quite a few challenges in the jewelry industry. So I've outlined some of them. We shouldn't have too many. So the first one is putting off significant milestones. It means that people get married later in life, they have babies later in life, and they don't have much to celebrate. They might travel more, but celebrate their trips and memories with jewelry, but more significant purchases usually happen around getting married and basically baby making. And then, as I mentioned, the hesitation among consumers to buy online. Different markets have different preferences. So this is definitely a constraint and a challenge for jewelry, for people to embrace buying online. And it cross borders. You can discover more jewelry at better prices. And that's why buying online is a good idea. Then there's the e-commerce fraud. A lot of people feel uncomfortable buying jewelry online because it's not safe. Sometimes you don't feel safe in the shop. Why would you feel safe buying online? So this is definitely a challenge. And there is a political and economic crisis. So for example, I was in Copenhagen earlier this week, And they actually decided not to organize event this year because of Brexit. So designers didn't feel comfortable, the UK market is doing well, and they canceled the event. The same when there is instability in Brazil or around election time, sales, there are not so many sales happening, people are cautious about spending. The same feeling right now happening in the US with certain president in power, people don't feel secure about buying into jewelry. So they're waiting until better times. So it's definitely also one of the challenges. And decline in rough diamond mine supply at the moment is on the rise due to synthetic diamonds and less investment going into diamond mining altogether. I like to hear that you're laughing, you know, this is great. This is like the best part. So this slide is about the fact that many of you are retailers and many of you are designers, and you're doing fantastically well, I hope you do, but we all have to be more flexible. We have to be able to embrace change. And the way people shop, so I mean consumer behavior and the industry itself is changing. And how many of you feel that industry has changed or changing? So we need to be ready for that, right? We need to, and it's not only about the industry, but it's also the way consumers actually shop right now and ask for certain things, as transparency, where your gold comes from, where your stones come from. We get many more questions nowadays about what we sell and at what price point. So we cannot usually do business as usual and expect to thrive. We must be responsive and understand the important trends and developments not to be left behind, but more agile competitors. We want to be on the top, right? We want to win. We want to do great. So let's not to be like that chicken. So what are the trends we should be aware of? So quite a few trends I would like to share with you. One of them is an unusual one. It's actually social pressure. So with social media, we have this pressure, all of us, to look good. So that's definitely a contributing factor because of social media affect young women, and they became much more aware about fashion image. What they see online, what they see on social media, it affects their style and their purchasing decision. So how you present yourself, it affects the young consumers. So there is something called affordable luxury. That's another trend. So demi-fine jewelry, which is my favorite word, and costume jewelry, they're popular not only among consumers on a tighter budget or self-purchasing. They also appeal to the younger demographic. Because nowadays, people looking to buy more jewelry or more often and more on trend. So nowadays, we discuss things like trendy jewelry, trendy styles. It never happened before. So nowadays, you want to be fashionable not only in your fashion, in your clothes, in your bags, and your shoes. You also would like to be trendy when it comes to your jewelry style. So it's definitely a trend. And then there are trends, let's say, earrings. So earrings were the most searched term in jewelry online. The tassel earrings, I bet many of you either selling or bought one. And in Brazil, it's as big as in Europe or US. And they remained popular across a variety of price points. But a lot of people also search for pearl earrings. So what does it tell us? It tells us that those jewelry, tassel earrings, pearl earrings, we need to implement in your strategy, in your business strategy, because many of the retailers, many of the brands have those products, and they sell well, but they can sell even better. So use that content, create content around the most popular searches in jewelry, and many more consumers and potential clients will discover you. And I'm very excited because we're here in Brazil, right? It's all about statement earrings. I love big earrings, but let's face it, if we in the US or in Europe, statement earrings is not something people buy. They will go for safer options, for smaller, more variable. So in 2019, statement earrings are going to be bold. The people are willing to buy more daring shapes and colors and wear them, and it is socially acceptable. And the other trend is a personalized jewelry. So what is personalized jewelry? I feel it is unusual to come into a jewelry shop nowadays and ask for personalization. You'll never get, it's crazy to think that people say no. Whether it's an engraving or something you'd like to change, that flexibility consumer doesn't value anymore, but expects from retailers and brands. They want something unique. They don't want to be like everyone else. So this is definitely a very strong trend to be aware of. And if you focus your marketing efforts in explaining consumer that we're flexible, we will serve your needs, and we will adjust whatever you need us to adjust, people will come to you, and people will appreciate the fact that you're flexible and prepared to work with consumers. Surprise, surprise, I have a few more. So there is a digital and secondhand. Traditionally reluctant to fully embrace digital retail, manufacturers and retailers are gradually, but at very slow pace, they're transitioning to a multi-channel approach. So with direct-to-consumer, e-tailers, and second-hand jewelry websites. So what does it mean? It means that the traditional retailers, even manufacturers nowadays, they actually go into jewelry. They launch their own brands, and they start selling. So if you're a retailer, you need to be online. You need to show your product, whether it's by appointment or come and pick up at the store. There are so many different ways of luring the client and enticing with a purchase. So the other trend is the omni-channel strategy. So obviously the share of internet jewelry retailing, as I mentioned earlier, is set to increase further. So jewelry manufacturers and retailers, so people like you, they place a greater emphasis on the online presence. And you might ask why, because it provides a younger demographic with a platform to engage with the brand. So if you are a manufacturer or retailer, you need to be more engaged with younger consumer, because through younger consumer you reach to their parents. And it's all following the pattern and word of mouth. And obviously the big more serious trend is technology, right? So we're talking about the product development, 3D. Of course, many of you may focus on handcrafted and produced from scratch piece of jewelry. Others use technology and everything what's available nowadays to minimize the costs of production. And also, when it comes to distribution, digitalization is a big element of that, and definitely shaping the jewelry industry. A lot of people have a lot of jewelry, and some jewelry brands would have over 100 jewelry designs, and they have to make sure where they're available, how they're available, and thanks to technology, it's easily manageable, and you can be in control of those purchases in different locations or shops. So an important trend which is impossible not to mention is sustainability. All of a sudden, consumers and press started to ask questions. So maybe you get some of the questions from your either if you have production, so maybe from your designers who you supply, or from clients directly. They ask you about the supply chain. Where does gold come from? Is it fair trade? What is fair trade gold? Lab-grown diamonds. Shall I buy it or not? What is your opinion on that? And also like ethically sourced stones. Where do your stones come from? We're in Brazil, so you have wonderful stones. You have access to a lot of different things. So I think Brazil maybe you don't get that as often, but like in Europe and US and Middle East and Asia, people start asking these questions and they care to hear answers which are transparent and very clear and understandable to consumer. So they ask about provenance. So provenance, if you think about provenance, it's usually about art. Nowadays, provenance of a piece of jewelry matters as much as an art. So if you look into companies like Gemfields, which owns mines and provide transparency, Forever Mark, which educates the final consumer with the number, so you actually know that this is the diamond you have and you can trace it, and it gives transparency to a final consumer, which is very important. So you know where your diamonds come from. You have a Gemfields brand of your gemstones. So it gives you peace of mind and you know where you bought it from, and a lot more people care about it. They care about where the gemstones come from and how sustainable is the gold production. So this is definitely a new trend in development in the industry, and it's getting more and more powerful. I mean, of course, we're far from writing ingredients on every piece of jewelry, but hopefully one day it's going to be as transparent as food. Surprise, surprise, I have more trends. So there are many more, there are a lot of different things is happening, a lot of different things happening in the jewelry industry across the world. And as I mentioned, it's important to know those trends, understand where you're standing as a retail or designer or a consumer. What do you care about and what you can focus and actually have a conversation with your customers or with your friends. So costume jewelry. Costume jewelry is exciting. Here in Brazil is incredible. I love shopping here because every other shop going to have a costume jewelry collection. It's very different to other countries. Costume jewelry you cannot really have access to quality costume jewelry or creative costume jewelry. And there are many more brands coming up with some different ideas or materials, and it's very exciting, and I think maybe there is a room for improvement in Brazil as well, but there's definitely a lot of different exciting things happening in the world outside of Brazil. There's another trend is to work on and grow consumer loyalty and confidence. So there are many more pop-ups organized around the world, and online platforms deal with jewelry. They open in the physical stores or at least showrooms, because in the end, we care to try our jewelry on. So there are this trend of physical, they need to basically have this physical presence, whether once a year or once a month, because many of you are designers in Brazil, not necessarily have the showroom, but having constant events that's planned in advance to show your jewelry, maybe to tap into other trends and have conversation going about the transparency of jewelry or educating people about the stones. Whatever it is relevant to your business, to your brand. It definitely builds a consumer loyalty and confidence in buying from you. So synthetic diamonds is a big one. I have very mixed feelings about synthetic diamonds. I was given a talk another day at Sotheby's in London, and I said, if you care about sustainability, why don't you buy vintage? Why don't you buy antique jewelry or vintage jewelry? Recycle gold, recycle diamonds, you don't need to buy synthetics. So that's kind of my take on this. But synthetic diamonds is a personal decision for a brand or designer, because of course people care about sustainability, and sometimes, but not necessarily always, there are better prices. But it's really changed the landscape, and obviously companies like De Beers, who have launched synthetic diamond brand, and it's very well priced. So it's not sold as a luxury item, but it's sold where it is, a man-made diamond. But in the end, the man-made, it benefits environment, it benefits humanity. So it's not something we can ignore, and people need to have that choice as soon as they're educated and know what they're buying. And people talk a lot about millennials, but in the end, people from 35 to 50, they actually have that purchasing power to tap and buy more often fine jewelry, contemporary jewelry. And so it's not only about doing your social media content marketing or creating events for younger audience. So my audience is from 35, because I'm not in my 20s, so there's more people appreciate and value jewelry, and they're prepared to pay for it. So when you develop your content, or your social media content marketing, your events, make sure you don't target the wrong audience for your product. And also, like, people like to be authentic. So I think that particular age group, they actually crave authenticity. They're looking for something they can wear and appreciate, versus millennials who might be looking to be more trendy. So that's something to consider as well. This is a question really excites me. I have traveled the world and I've been asking a lot of people this question: why should jewelry matter? So why do you think it's important? Why not traveling? Why not to spend money on traveling? Why not to spend money on bags or shoes? Why jewelry? And for many designers, the answer was obvious, and they've shared with me, and I'll share with you. But for people who, right now you can buy new iPhone, new Samsung, new laptop, new experience, jewelry are in competition with those luxury items. I know it sounds crazy, you may not believe me, but it is, because if you look into prices, it is very comparable. So why should jewelry matter? So as I said, I traveled around the world and I asked designers to respond to this question. So that's the question I asked. How would you like to educate young jewelry consumers who might be more interested in other luxury products as well as technology or traveling? And why should jewelry matter to them? So this is the question, and this question is relevant to all of us. It's important to understand why. Because if you understand why, you can connect with the right target audience. You can relate to them. So I spoke to Ara Vartanyan. I keep forgetting. So I'm sorry, I didn't show you the question, but I read the question. So here it is. So I can just give you a second to read over it. So I have spoken to different designers around the world, and some from Brazil, UK, China, and Africa, and Portugal, what their take on why jewelry should matter. And I asked many people, their answers I found the most interesting. So Ara from Brazil, Ara Vartanyan, said the following: the fashion world has changed radically in the past 50 years. I think what's happening in fine jewelry now, younger clientele don't want to look like they raided mother's jewelry box, and their mothers want to buy pieces that their daughters want to party in. In spite of it, I see jewelry pieces as amulets. It's something material, touchable, that carry love, stories, moments, and good memories for many generations. So the trend here is younger jewelry, trendy jewelry. But still a lot of value, right? It's still about love. It's still about the special moments. So I don't know if you share, because we're in Brazil, and art from Brazil. I don't know if you share this particular view, but I would love to, if you send me a comment, why do you think that jewelry should matter? I would love to read your answers. So we look into Portugal, right? So close neighbor. And I need to press this button, which I'm forgetting. So Liza Rosas is great, one of the biggest Portuguese brands. And she responded the following way. She said that she finds the most valuable asset in a piece of jewelry is the emotional link it usually brings. It can be either because it marks a special moment, or because it personifies a person or belief, or just because it lives with us for decades. It lasts as it goes along with us. Also, a piece of jewelry can totally change or complete your look and communicate who you are. So here it's a great campaign idea. If you choose to wear a super minimalist piece of jewelry or a more traditional one, it changes the way people see you and for sure the way you feel. So that's something you can use in your social media strategy, in your website strategy, the way you talk to clients. Whether you're a consumer, you understand what you're looking for, why you actually buying, or why you have those pieces of jewelry. And if you're a designer, you know, you can see a few ideas here how you can connect to your perfect consumer. So the next person I asked is in Dubai, because Middle East, I love going to Middle East. They're absolutely mad for jewelry. They're as mad for jewelry as Brazilians. I've never met a girl from the Middle East who doesn't love jewelry. The same way, I've never met a girl in Brazil who hates jewelry. Not even once, never. She may not wear it on every day, but she still loves jewelry. So that's why I had to ask. So Sheikha responded this way: look into jewelry, not in the monetary sense, but rather to explore it as they would a country or city. Each aspect of it is a part of history, it tells a story. The stones themselves, their formation, nature, and attributes, then speak to a person, you would find yourself wanting to buy a piece because that said stone drew you in, its energy. You take back a souvenir that reminds you of your travels. Why not to create a piece that represents you? Be it from leather, silver, porcelain, make it as adventurous as you are. So if you are an adventurous jewelry designer, here is your answer how to connect to your audience. Adventure, traveling, that's your perfect consumer. Consumer who loves adventure, they can connect to your identity as a jewelry designer. So I really like her approach, and what I mentioned earlier, a lot of purchases happen during the trips and traveling, special moments. In Brazil, there are a lot of people traveling from different cities, so there is an opportunity. So now we're in Africa. So in Africa, they have a very deep appreciation for jewelry. It's rooted in their history, and they wear a lot of gold jewelry, and they have, I absolutely love to see how they wear jewelry. So Vanya, she's London-based, but she's originally from Africa, and she actually used gem-filled stones in her jewelry. So she says, I think luxury should be what makes you happy and a more mindful human being. When it comes to jewelry and why it should matter is because jewelry tells a story of the most important milestone in one's life. People buy fine jewelry to celebrate an achievement, love, and life, and last forever, and to be treasured for generations to come. So I don't believe in heirlooms too much, but some people still do. And I think her answer is just beautiful, and it's all about milestones. So if you're a jewelry designer and you want to connect to your client or your retailer, what are the milestones are you connecting with your clientele? What sort of content are you creating around those milestones in someone's life to connect and find this perfect piece of jewelry for them? So my favorite answer, I'm about to run out of time, I still have a few things to tell you, is by Wallace Chan. Wallace Chan is an incredible designer from China. He gave a very long answer, as you can see. But the answer I'm not going to read, but the definitely answer is worth reading. And it's absolutely poetic and wonderful. And he says that people don't know why they buy jewelry. They don't understand that they appreciate more sculpture and art, but in reality, a piece of jewelry, it requires more skills than in sculpture, more skills than in art. It's also understanding of craftsmanship and color and gemstones. And all of it creates a piece of jewelry. And a lot of consumers don't understand that. And I mean, it's just a beautiful quote, the way he explains it, and actually how he's trying to make a difference. And all these quotes summarize to one important answer, is education. That all of us, as well as my objective, which I showed you earlier of Gemaloc, is to educate all of us nowadays, fortunately or unfortunately, is about educating the client and explaining them why should jewelry matter, why they should invest in jewelry, and how it's connected to their lives. So here are the few ideas, and that's what I'm here for, to show what other brands and brands and retailers try to do to make sure that jewelry matters. So important to know, I feel it's very important to focus on traditional craftsmanship in jewelry, because with technology and the world is getting a crazy place, and we get very anxious with the technology, and fast jewelry, I think, creates a trend as well. If you're about real craftsmanship, I think it brings you back to tranquility and balance, as well as your family, the real piece of jewelry, real craftsmanship. It makes it real. We as humans care how something's been made. And I think telling this story and educating your clients about this is very important. So in between propositions, so what a few things. So basically, affordable luxury. What is affordable luxury? If you look into brands like Van Cleef, like Fabergé, like a Boucheron, they're all high-end, fine jewelry brands, but all of them introduced affordable ranges. Affordable ranges to as low as $300. It's not something you would never think, but that's their business model. They're doing it on purpose to introduce affordable luxury. So there is appeal for premium, but yet affordable. Very well crafted, but yet affordable. So this is an important way of how jewelry brands can compete with other consumer goods, either technology or fashion, shoes, bags, etc. The importance of social media for retailers and brands. So I haven't focused on this too much today. So creating meaningful campaigns to connect with consumer values and make it clear why jewelry should matter to them. So that's those quotes I've been showing earlier. Hopefully they gave you ideas how you can connect to your clients. If you consumer, to your designers. If you are designer if you retailer to your consumers, if you designer to your consumers, or to retailers. So the way to go about it, you should identify your target audience. Make sure you don't target people who can't afford your jewelry. Then approve budget. Don't waste your time, approve budget. Make a decision how much money you can sacrifice for this particular campaign. And then generate campaign ideas, brainstorm about it, and then partner up with a content creator, blogger on a long-term contract, so you can actually see some results in the end of it. If you look into Yux, so Net-a-Porter was bought by Yux, so if you look in the social media, they're pioneering this very weird idea, which is replacing all bloggers with, so on all photos, a girl who models and shows the clothes is not a real person. So and that's where they create content. And nowadays, this fake girl who is not real is collaborating with bloggers around the world, and they draw her on top of the photos wearing. So basically, craziest idea, but it's getting momentum. And now, if you haven't heard about it, you will in the near future. Then a network of personal shoppers. So, for example, if you think of Net-a-Porter sell jewelry online, but in reality, a lot of jewelry gets sold before by personal shoppers. They don't even get published on the website. If you look into Moda Operandi, it's all about trunk show approach. You can use similar approach and strategies for your brands and business. There's obviously bloggers, collaborations, and collections. So you can collaborate with bloggers on creating collections or raising awareness through a creative, like a personal shopper experience through events. It usually works very well. You work on a unique design with a blogger or someone you respect, and that can create industry results for your business. So I'm running out of time, but I really would love to finish that. So there are a few more things which happen in the industry to help us to compete with other luxury goods. So it's all about luxury experience as well as customers expect to have a unique experience coming into you. They don't just buy jewelry, they buy an experience. If you can get them to a workshop or show them something unusual, it will be rewarding. People will remember, people will share. It helps you to spread the word of how you work and sort of experiences you create. So for example, when you buy an engagement ring, Ralph brings you to their workshop and shows you the production side, the craftsmanship behind. And there's also important element, there's a new approach to retail. It's not anymore about like boring shops. Many more shops are created, and interior design used is more of a house, sometimes with art and very cozy atmosphere you actually want to spend. Sometimes it has like a retail front. Sometimes it's on the first, second floor. For example, Jessica McCormack in London, it's created as a townhouse, so it's a luxury house where you can buy the most beautiful jewelry. But when you come in, you feel like you're at someone's home. It doesn't feel like a boutique. And similar approach to material good, which is just like a very intimate, beautiful showroom in New York City, in Soho on the first floor. So you book an appointment, and it's basically like you in someone's living room, and it's all very well created, and it's a very special experience around jewelry. So basically, selling from home is a great idea nowadays. So what else? So as Wallace Chan highlighted in his quote, it's important to invest in education. So if you look into Farfetch, Net-a-Porter, they all launched education hubs. They call them education hubs about jewelry, where the information there, it's easily digestible and understandable to final consumer. Because a lot of my friends, they invite me out for coffee, and I have to sit down and literally on a napkin explain the clarity of stones and explain them how to buy a diamond. So a lot of people actually don't have that basic information on how to make a decision. So don't forget about this, and then try to educate your customers. So what else I would like to add here? So retail entertainment, this is fun. Make sure whatever you create around your jewelry, it's Instagrammable. A lot of people looking for an opportunity to post a beautiful photo because we are much more aware. If you put an effort and create something beautiful, interesting, fun, people will share, and it will be rewarding for your business. So it's called retail entertainment. So basically stand out, and a great example is the boutique in London called Vashi Jewelry. They sell engagement rings, but all engagement rings, they are sold like you're in a bookshop. And the window display is super engaging. It's like impossible. It's all moving, and it's just, you can't pass it by without making a video of it. So that's creativity and creating that unusual experience people remember and talk about and share. And jewelry styling. So another day I noticed that, let's say, Buccellati, I photographed and styled some of the jewelry, and they would use those pictures to sell. They're like, this is how you should style it. This is how it looks. This is how you wear bracelets, and that's how you pair it with earrings. So I've styled some jewelry, and they use it for retail purposes. So the same way, you can partner up with bloggers on how to style jewelry. So there are creative ways how to wear jewelry, and then use that material via your personal shoppers or your social media or website to basically inspire people to buy jewelry, to see how they can be worn. So jewelry styling, and that's why we really ran out of time, that's the next one. So this one is very quick, so I'm ready for Q&A like in a couple of minutes. So jewelry styling tips for jewel lovers and designers. I'll send you a presentation. Please send me a message and I'll send it to you, because there are a few things I'm missing here, and I would love to tell you more things. So a ring to keep you uplifted, right? A ring is an important conversation starter. It's a special memory. It's all about, sometimes it's a cocktail ring, and it's all about also stacking rings. I don't know if you can actually read what's written there, because it looks, even so it's a huge screen, it looks like a very small font. So let me just go through this very quickly. So a necklace to express yourself. So necklace, when you're wearing a necklace, you can't see it, right? You're wearing it. Why are you wearing your necklace? What the message you are sending to the world? The same way when you're selling a necklace, you can communicate that message to the customer, and the customer can connect with the message. They would love this pendant. So it's the three monkeys. I can't hear, I can't talk, and I can't see. So there is definitely meaning behind. Or it's a diamond naked lady, and it's actually with fluorescent diamonds. So in particular light, it basically, I don't know what do you call it. So basically, it flashes with light. It's beautiful. Okay. A necklace. So a necklace is to express yourself, but more importantly, it's about creating your look. And here I'm actually recommending how to layer your necklaces, because these tips you can use not only in how you wear jewelry, but also how you style jewelry when you share it with your clients. So don't go for less than 3, don't go for more than 5. Make sure they're arranged perfectly and they're on different chain lengths. Nowadays you can buy chain extenders, and a lot of girls you can see wearing a lot of jewelry, a lot of necklaces, and mixing and matching. I think it's a wonderful trend. So you can really go and layer them and create different looks together. Just arrange them beforehand on a piece of paper, see if they go very well together, and then try them on. And you can do the same for your customers. If you sell in pendants, show them how to wear more than one. Style them, show them 5 looks with 3 to 5 necklaces, and tell them this is how they will look amazing on you. People don't know how to style necklaces, and if you can show them more options, they'll be happy and grateful and come back to add one more to their collection. Earrings, of course, to energize us, because it's very close to our ears and we want to hear positive messages. So right now, as I said, right, I wasn't just in Copenhagen earlier this week. What I noticed and surprised me, old girls would wear different earrings. So I haven't seen one girl on the street or at event wearing the same matching earrings. And they really mismatch lengths, color, shape. It's crazy. So it's definitely a big trend. So attract attention and recommend start selling individual earrings. Don't sell a pair, so you can mix and match. And also advise how crazy one can go with mismatching. One is a statement earring, another one is a stud, goes beautifully together. And also don't forget, when you recommend someone to buy a piece of earrings, it's all about eye color. So that looks really, sometimes really looks striking, and also about the skin tone. I think earrings is very important, because it's all about, we're applying makeup, and there's a lot of room for, if you earrings a particular color, you can pair it with an unusual makeup, and you can use that for your content marketing, basically. A brooch, I like brooches. I don't know, I don't think it's big in Brazil, but there are so many different ways of wearing them. You can wear free, you can wear them in different places, on a collar or on your jacket. There are many collectible pieces. If you buy vintage jewelry, there are many amazing brooches at a good price. So it can really create a unique look and definitely a conversation opener. So, and a bracelet, right? I love bracelets. And I think I love actually matching bracelets, because when I wear matching bracelets and the cuffs, I feel like it's my armor. It's kind of, I feel stronger. Because many of us, we have like weak wrists, and I feel like if we kind of protect and wear something, we feel more powerful and more ready to battle through the day. And the bangles, so the bangle I'm wearing there, which is like a cuff, it's like more like a yoga inspired and very spiritual, so different meanings depending on your design and consumer you're trying to reach. Obviously there are like a funky ring / hand chains inspired by Indian bridal jewelry, so kind of adds a lot of character. This particular piece I'm wearing with turquoise is definitely striking. And the last one is very quick tips. So I've given you a few ideas how you can style your jewelry, how you can style jewelry and show it to your clients, but then you need to photograph it, right? You need to show it in the best possible way. And position of hands matters. Make sure that the stones are visible. Make sure if you have a manicure, it's the best possible manicure. If you would like to have less aggressive pose to this one, make sure that you show nails, never cut nails, show full fingers. So it's all about that elegant, very small movement, natural. And I have been doing that for a long time now to create this very unusual wave of hand to make sure it looks elegant and shows the best way the rings. So it's a funny experience over the years how to make sure the rings look fantastic on the photos. So position of hands matters as well as fingers. So if you make sure you keep all your fingers together and don't do anything funny, so that looks kind of the most elegant on the photo, but it feels very unnatural when you actually pose, or whoever you style it with. Okay, so the next one, a very fast one, is flat lay compositions, the photos like this. If you are, like I'm a big fan of Pinterest. If you're on Pinterest, please find on Gemalog. It's fantastic for inspirations, and this photo was just something like a crazy number of thousands and thousands of people loved it and pinned it. So showing the jewelry in a similar color combination, it's basically called flat lay, either with different jewelry or objects around. I absolutely love styling those images. It's fun to do. You don't need to have a model for that, and that's something you can really use for your social media, whether you're a jewelry lover, retailer, or a jewelry designer. So props. I usually travel with kilos of props. So, for example, this one I've used in Bahrain. This one is a sketch, which has been hand-drawn sketch with watercolor, and I've used it to style these beautiful earrings and pendant. So I also use jewelry books, I use jewelry boxes, packaging, cups, mugs, as creative as you can get, candles, perfumes. It all look and add to the shot with jewelry. So you don't need to have a model, you don't need to have the most beautiful manicure if you know how to creatively use props. And I mean, in Brazil, you're fortunate. The weather is fantastic, it's very sunny. So don't go in the direct sun, try to stay in the shadow, but the gemstones and gold and textures work the best for jewelry if you shoot by the window, not in direct sunlight, but still by the window, by the natural source of light. Every shot will look so much better and really shows the stones. And so this one is a fun one. It's all about filters, and maybe the first photo, I didn't want the focus on my face because I'm wearing this beautiful pearl choker and I wanted to focus on it. So you can also use that selective focus, selective filters to draw attention to the jewelry rather than to a model or whoever is you're shooting jewelry on. The same way on the next photo, I used actually silk to create this blurred texture next to the lens, and the focus is on this beautiful antique jewelry pieces. So I really hope that you find this, even so very fast, these tips are helpful, how you can style the jewelry and use for your social media, whatever your business is. Hopefully it will benefit you. So, I mean, I'm done here, so I think we have a Q&A, I hope, or not, I'm not sure, because I've overrun. So, but in any ways, thank you so much for listening. I hope you found interesting. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Very kind of you. Thank you. So please find me on Pinterest, Facebook, on Instagram, take my message, and let me know why jewelry should matter. What is your take on that? I'm personally very interested why people should buy jewelry, why it's relevant nowadays.
Thank you, Lisa. Now, Manuel will conduct the question and answers. So, o Manuel agora vai conduzir o bate-papo com as perguntas e respostas, então eu convido de volta ao palco o Manuel Bernardes.
Gente, obrigado. Você viu que a palestra da Liza foi completa, grande, e ela abordou vários assuntos, e eu acho que a gente tem que ter um pouco mais de cuidado e voltar atrás na apresentação dela para aproveitar em toda a sua extensão as dicas que ela deu. Nós vamos estar abertos aqui para poucas questões por causa do tempo, e eu gostaria, então, de verificar quem é que gostaria de fazer uma pergunta para a Liza.
Hey, lovely. It's great to have you here. Is it mute?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. No.
Oh, now it works. Good. So you have a very particular language of art photographs and like art directing and making good photos. And I was hoping that you could share with us how have you developed your skills in photographs? Because when you see your Instagram and your book and the way you art direct the pictures, you have created a really particular language, so people can really see that it's you in it. So I really want to know like how you developed these skills and how you could give us some tips of how we could use those skills in our, Instagram and trying to do it ourselves, like DIY.
So, thank you. As I mentioned, I work with professional jewelry photographers. One of them is Julia Fleet. So, and then it was photographers a lot of fun because then I can art direct and we can find the best corners and the best kind of styling. But I've been passionate about photography since, for a long time, for as long as I remember myself. So I always photographed. I think my father is to blame. My father got me a camera and he loves photography. So it's more, I think it's about practice. And also, I think a very simple tip, if you do your homework before you start shooting, if you create a mood board, it's really helpful. So go on Pinterest and find that perfect 10 pictures and get inspired by them, and eventually you will be getting closer to what you're looking for. So creating a mood board, search for the photos which gets you the right feeling, the right mood, maybe poses or close-ups or color scheme. So if you start with a mood board, it's really helpful to know what you're doing. So when you actually have your phone or have your camera, have few pieces of jewelry, you kind of are directing your own self because you've done your homework. So there's no shoot. Like I always create a mood board. So whatever I do, I'll create a mood board and then I'll just get on my phone. And then, because I don't like to spend too much time creating content, I like it to be very fast and efficient. If it's 3 minutes, it's great. If I have to spend 5 minutes, I get annoyed. So it's like I do advanced selfie. Even for advanced selfie, I would create a mood board, have it on my phone. And then also, I love the camera because when you traveling somewhere or you're at a location, if you're not planning to take a shot, you're very oblivious to your surroundings. If you have a camera, I naturally, and hopefully you do as well, start looking for interesting corners, interesting perspective, textures, backgrounds, and you analyze the place. So sometimes I take the camera, I don't take shots, I just like to see where I am. It's basically you're more focused on your environment and textures. So you just take the camera and don't take shots, just look around, focus on things, and it gives you a kind of different perspective. And mood boards are very helpful to create fast content if you don't have a photographer with you, because if you have a photographer with you, art directing a photographer is a completely different set of skills required to do so, and it's kind of a different question.
Pouco que a Liza está falando, eu acredito que tem uma grande questão, que é o olhar. Você tem uma perspectiva particular, e ela criou uma perspectiva particular que filtra essas criações. Então, essa é uma primeira questão, como você cria um estilo e uma personalidade própria, um jeito próprio de ver o mundo, e 2, ousadia, porque sem ousadia você não vai a lugar nenhum.
Hi, good evening. First, I'd like to... Can you hear me?
There.
Here. First, I would like to say that my partner and I were huge fans of your work. We follow Gemolog for a while now. We have our own jewelry brand in which we design our own pieces. And the purpose of our question is basically because we started with our first collection, and we decided to work with a material that's kind of different, and we want to know about the acceptance of it. So we work with we made a whole collection with marble and natural gemstones inspired by the Italian Renaissance. So it's a mixture of architectures and works of art. And the pieces are ready, but we don't know how to insert it in the market and how to make it acceptable, especially here in Brazil. So we would like to know, like, what is your idea of how to insert this product in the market? Because we know that many people do not consider marble as gemstones, and it's very specific, but we also want to put it as in high jewelry. So what would be your tip to say, like, that's how you should position your collection, that's how you should brand it, that's how you should try to insert it?
Is it on? Yes, it's on. So what you create is called art jewelry.
Yes.
So don't call it high jewelry, it's more art jewelry and needs to be presented as art. So you go around as an exhibition, you talk about marble, why you picked this particular marble, why this marble is special. I'm sure there's a story behind. There are people behind. Maybe you do a beautiful campaign at the marble place where you source the marble from. Those places are absolutely stunning, so you tell the story. And people perceive value in jewelry, but then it's your narrative to tell them what's value in this material. And also it helps to show, as I said earlier, how this jewelry looks on. I photographed marble jewelry before by a Greek designer, so I haven't seen your jewelry. I don't know how heavy they are or light, because obviously marble is more heavy, but you go in, it's more art jewelry direction, so it's a unique material with the gemstones. I mean, if you have a beautiful story behind it, because you haven't told me the story, you need to work on it and find a group of people who will appreciate and connect with your product, and you target and create and basically communicate to them. So who is going to buy this product from you? Which the question, the most basic questions: what's the age group? Why? From where? As a gift or the purchase, or is it going to be as decorative objects for the house? Because maybe it's not necessarily very variable, but maybe you can sell it as art, but with gemstones. And maybe you tap into marble. Marble is this hard material, so maybe you can go into bridal jewelry, maybe, or bridal gifts. So why not to give someone a bridal marble piece of jewelry in a box with some particular gemstones, and those gemstones mean love forever, and that would be a fantastic gift to give to newlywed and the bride. I mean, the wedding business is big in Brazil, so that could something you tap into and target that press and target people who like Constanza and go into bridal element of it, like bridal gifting with your jewelry. As an idea, because I don't know which color of marble you have, right? So I think of marble as white, but it could be pink, it could be so many colors. So it's all about kind of different thinking, and you're not creating a traditional jewelry, so you should not market it traditionally either. So, well,
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. I hope it helps.
Gente, eu queria agradecer por causa do avançado da hora. Nós temos ainda uma última conferência para tratar de questões um pouco mais áridas do ponto de vista, que é tributação. It's okay. E nós queríamos agradecer profundamente a Liza, que veio de Londres especificamente para nos dar essa palestra, para dividir esses insights conosco, e convidá-la a visitar a feira amanhã, se você puder. Seria um grande prazer conhecer um pouco a feira aqui do Brasil, a FENINJER, e seja sempre muito bem-vinda ao Brasil. A gente gostaria muito de ter essa possibilidade de trocar os novos olhares entre você, que tem uma experiência global, e o país, o Brasil, que é um país muito fechado em termos da joalheria, é um país muito fechado. Então, esse olhar mais diverso é muito importante para nós. Muito obrigado.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And also, I love Brazil, and you have all these gemstones and gold and craftsmanship and designers and creativity and beautiful nature to be inspired by. So I think you're good, even if it's not very open market. I think it's wonderful for jewelry, and it's very exciting to be here.
É muito bom ouvir dela que ela gosta muito do Brasil, né, e que a criatividade brasileira é valorizada por ela. Então, a gente fica feliz que a gente é um povo criativo e a gente gostaria muito de partilhar, então, essa criatividade com outros países, exportar e ter novas possibilidades. Obrigado, Liza.
Thank you. Thank you.